right, so Dr. Raymond L. Brown is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service and most recently served as a foreign policy advisor to the commander of the U.S. Africa Command. Now he makes his home in Jamaica, at least for the next 3 years. Been here before, though. Good morning to you,
sir.
Good
morning. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
And welcome.
Yes,
welcome to Jamaica. Welcome back to Jamaica. Welcome to Smile, Jamaica. It's good to have you. You were here in
85 to 87.
85 to 87,
yes,
and you're here now in 2012.
Right.
Stark differences?
There are some differences. You know, I lived in Mona at the Great House Mews, and the townhouse concept was relatively new then. Well, you see, they've proliferated all over the city, improved housing for a lot of people. And the politics are different. The Cold War versus the post-Cold War. There's a lot of implications for the range of political culture and how things are done in governance. There's significant changes all around.
But also your role is quite different this time.
Oh, when I was here, I was the junior-most member of the American Embassy, and now I'm one of the senior-most. Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that.
When I arrived here, I worked in the old consulate down on Oxford Road. I did 1 year in the consular section, and then moved over and did 1 year in the political section, the old Mutual Life building. Now it's still the Mutual Life building, but it's, you know, there on Oxford Road. And it was there that I met Ambassador Bridgewater, because she was my mentor as a junior officer at the time. And I was in the political section during the 86 elections. You remember that? And when Mr. Siaga was prime minister at the time. And the way our embassy's political section organized assignments, I was responsible for the opposition parties. So I went to rallies in St. James and down in all over. It was a lot of fun. It was a good way to get.
A lot of fun.
It was a good way to get to know Jamaica. Yes.
And now you are playing a very, very senior role. You are right below Ambassador Bridgewater,
Right. The organization is that the ambassador is the personal representative of the president, and the chief of mission is the senior executive for our embassies. The deputy chief of mission is her deputy. Make the analogy from chief executive to chief operating officer.
Okay.
When the ambassador is out of the jurisdiction of their accreditation, the deputy becomes the chargé d'affaires, effectively the acting ambassador.
I don't know if fascination is the right word, but I'll use it. What is the fascination with the diplomatic corps? Because you've been to, what, 6 or 7 countries, I think?
I think I've been to more than that.
Yeah.
But the most fascinating aspect of it for me is that the things that you do are really significant. They're important across the whole spectrum of culture to security and the relationships that guide and inform the world. I've been involved in places that have gone crazy real fast and gotten dangerous real fast, and coups and the like, where from the vantage point of what I was doing, the protection of American citizens and their safe evacuation or removal. It's a very important thing to do. 10 years ago, when I was chargé d'affaires in Khartoum, I was involved in the early stages of the North-South peace agreement in the Sudan. I was in Juba for their independence last July. And you imagine the gratification that can be a part of your knowledge that you had a part of that. Yeah. The Nuba Mountain ceasefire that's sustained from 2001. So when Secretary Powell was at the Department of State, I ran the orientation division for new Foreign Service officers, and he would come to their graduations, and he would always say, "Prepare to live a life of significance." And it really is. It really is.
How does your family feel? Because not everyone likes you guys. I mean, not everyone likes us either, but how does your family feel that you're thrown into some areas that maybe they think are not as safe as they would like?
Well, for the children, it's normal. They've grown up in this environment. They've lived in Lesotho and Kenya and South Africa and Germany, Maryland and Jamaica, my 2 smaller children. This is their life. They didn't like not being able to ride their bikes in South Africa, except to going to the park and being supervised, because it was the circumstance of the place. They did like Germany a lot, because they could get on the bus and go wherever they wanted and ride the trains. They liked that very much. Coming to Jamaica, they were very excited about it. They are familiar with the Caribbean. They were born in Barbados. They visit their grandmother there every summer.
Okay.
They visited Jamaica a couple of years ago. And so, you know, Jamaica's image looms large in the world. And my music collection has a significant Jamaican portion. And so they're familiar with
No,
these
you piqued
kind of
my
things.
curiosity. What do you listen to?
Well, I have music from all over the world.
Yes, but when it comes to Jamaica?
All of it, from the old rocksteady and the old R&B clone stuff from the early 60s through ska. I like Minto very much.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to have a Minto band at my residence soon for an event that I'm having. Because I like that part of the original, the older culture and the formative musical forms, in a sense. But all the way through. The last time I was here, we were shifting to sling ting. Okay, so.
No, I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah, so I've stayed in touch with the music and the degree to which Jamaican music is influencing world music. Like a lot of my reggae collection, for example, is not from Jamaica.
I know.
It's from Latin America and Africa and Europe and Asia, and some very, very good reggae out there.
Let me go back to the politics. You said when you were here before, you were, I don't know if you used the word covering or working with the opposition, and you went to different rallies. What's the difference with the politics here as the politics in the United States? Is there a difference?
Well, you know, politics are driven by local circumstances and local culture, history, personalities, and the structure determine how the political reality manifests itself. With Jamaica coming out of a British common law and parliamentary experience, and the structure of your legislatures, your parliament, and the way your elections function are very different than our own. And so the idea of a prime minister being able to call snap elections is not a part of the feature of our system. We have a 4 years kind of a thing, and it's a standard feature. The date is predicted and knowable, and that's very different. We have.
Is that good or bad, by the way?
It's what we're used to. I don't know if you can make a judgment about. I wouldn't make a judgment about good or bad. It's the system to which we've become accustomed and function. It's had 200 years for people to change it, and
nobody has. If it ain't broke.
Yeah.
And you have a two-term presidency.
No. Since World War II.
Yeah.
Before that, there was no term limits on the presidency. There are no term limits on the Congress. Some states have put in, since World War II, term limits on governors. Many state legislatures don't have term limits on their assemblymen or state senators. But the reason we have term limits at the presidency was because of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was first elected in 1932 and was reelected in 1944. And if he hadn't died, he might have been reelected again in 1948, and until he died. So in the shifts of fortune, the Democrats lost the majority in 1946, and a new law was passed limiting terms to two for the president, but not for Congress, not for the Senate.
Let me ask you how you think we've been doing in terms of our relationship, Jamaica and the U.S., in the last couple of years, and what is your hope as you have come here for that relationship and its development?
Well, I put it in a much longer term context than the last 2 years. I think that it's meet to focus on the 50th anniversary as also the 50 years of our formal state-to-state relations. And throughout that time, though there have been, you know, ins and outs and lefts and rights, it's been a pretty progressive and positive relationship. We have a lot of linkages and a lot of things that bind us. Our interests converge in so many different ways. We have increasingly dense blood ties that make our two societies closer in many ways, culturally, despite our historical differences. In the recent years, I think that the relationship has continued to get stronger. I know we're looking forward to the next 50 years and working with Jamaica to achieve the goals that it has for itself. We've had excellent relationships on the bilateral level. We found common cause in many cases in hemispheric relations and in global relations at the UN and other organizations. And we encounter Jamaicans everywhere in the world, and we generally have a very positive relationship.
Well, a couple of quick questions as we wrap up. I'm not asking your personal opinion here. Who do you think will win the presidency?
Well, I used to be good at this kind of stuff, but I've been outside of the United States for a long time now, and you know the nuances of what the mood is. I'm not in touch with it very much. I've been wrong the last 3 times. Even the last one, I was wrong. It's hard to say. The momentum seems to be with the president in recent months. But the polls show the race is very close.
Yes.
Yeah.
In recent years, recent elections, the elections have been very close, but this one seems to be particularly so.
Okay.
Our elections are sometimes determined by something that happens in October.
Okay.
True.
They call it the old October surprise.
All right.
And so it can change the mood in a moment.
All
So,
right. Best Jamaican food?
I mean, I love ackee and saltfish.
Ackee and saltfish. Best Jamaican song?
Oh, I used to like greetings.
Great to meet you, sir.
Same here.
And good luck as you.
Thank you so much.
You do your second posting here in Jamaica.
Yes.
Dr. Raymond L. Brown, new Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy.
I can't selfish. You'll do it every time, even.
Yeah. Can you cook it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, man.